This audiobook was narrated by Victor Pauter. You can find me on youtube.com/Victor Pauter, where I make videos for aspiring manga and comic book artists. And now, Drawabox Lesson 1. Lines, Ellipses, and Boxes. Ellipses. What is an ellipse? So, what is an ellipse? Is it just a fancy word for an oval? Ellipses are extremely important and notoriously annoying to draw. You'll find them all over the place in mechanical drawings. Cars, spaceships, tanks, machines, anything man-made will probably make extensive use of ellipses. They're so prevalent because they allow us to, with relative accuracy, represent a circle as it sits in 3D space. If you take any circular object, a coin for instance, and turn it this way and that, you'll notice that the 2D shape your eyes actually see isn't always going to be a circle. It will, however, generally be ellipsoid. The anatomy of an ellipse. An ellipse has several specific properties. Its scale, the overall size of the ellipse. Its orientation, the angle at which it is positioned. Its degree, effectively the width of the narrower dimension of the ellipse. You'll also see here that there are two axes. The major axis, which defines the widest span of the ellipse, the minor axis, which defines the narrowest span of the ellipse, which is also its degree. These two axes run perpendicular to one another. The major axis does not and will never matter. The minor axis is extremely important, however. This can be a little difficult to grasp at first, due to their infuriatingly unintuitive naming scheme. The degree. This is going to be quite important as we get into the next lesson, but I think it's important to introduce this concept now. If you take a circular coin or some other object like a CD and hold it up so its face points directly towards you, you're going to see a circle. It's still an ellipse. A circle is an ellipse after all. But the degree of this ellipse, literally measured in degrees, is going to be 90 degrees. That is the angle between your vision, like an arrow coming straight out of your face, and the surface of the circle. As this disc or coin turns, however, the degree of the ellipse gets smaller, and therefore the ellipse gets narrower and narrower until finally you're looking at the edge of the object, or an ellipse with a degree of 0 degrees as shown with the image above. Far left is 90 degrees, far right is 0 degrees. The minor axis. Now, while the major axis is largely irrelevant, the minor axis is critical when we stop thinking about 3D space. The reason it's so important is that while the minor axis represents something in 2D space, the narrowest span across the ellipse, it also represents something in 3D space as well. In 3D, the minor axis represents a line, or in math terms, a vector that points straight off the surface of the circle. It runs perfectly perpendicular to that surface. This is incredibly useful when drawing cylinders and other ellipse-based 3D forms. In a cylinder, you can imagine that there is a straight spine that connects the circles on either end. This spine is the minor axis, which runs perpendicular to both circles and helps us align them correctly. If their minor axes don't match up, then you'd end up with a tube with one end sheared off at an angle rather than straight across. Homework and exercises. Every Drawabox lesson consists of lecture content and exercises that are assigned as homework. It's best to complete this homework before moving on to the next section. As this lesson consists of 3 sections, lines, ellipses, boxes, it is best that you only submit your work for review when you've completed all 3. The homework assignment for this section is as follows. 2 filled pages of the Tables of Ellipses exercise. 2 filled pages of the Ellipses in Planes exercise. 1 filled page of the Funnels exercise. All the assigned work for this section should be done in ink using fine liners / felt tip pens as described here. In a pinch, I will accept work done in ballpoint, but only if the situation is dire. This is an exception only for this lesson as students get started.